Yeah, so here I am. Welcome back to the grind. It's Friday into January 2024 now, all of a sudden. And we're on the 924, the Porsche. I don't know where the rest of that is, but we'll figure that out eventually. Anyhow, now I know you're all waiting with bated breath to see this electrolysis being done and finished and out of here, but it's still cooking. It's too cold outside to run water, so I'm going to wait for a warm day to try and get it rinsed out. Now, warm day is coming next week. Got a hoses here and hoses there, hoses everywhere, and a big bucket to catch it on. So in the meantime, I went to work on the front end here, where I put this hood down and latched it. Back up a bit here. I got a latch from the the internet, like eBay, used latch, in reasonably good shape. Little tiny plastic piece of it wasn't. Wonder if I still have that here. You'll have to watch and see. Yeah, here it is here. This little plastic piece was wore out and so it was catching underneath. Like whenever you'd close it, it would catch underneath the side of the clasp there. Instead of opening, it would just be caught. And so I spent a day and a half trying to get this hood open. Eventually I got it open, and then I fixed up that thing on the, whatever you call that? The latch, by going to the mini lathe, which is over there. And I had a piece of, 1/2-inch aluminum, like here we are. This stuff, not even 1/2 inch, whatever size that is, 3/8 aluminum. And so I cut a piece out and then made it round and redid the bottom bit of that. It actually turned out pretty well, and it works perfectly now. It goes up and down, no problem. Then I decided, well, this gap here, when I started, this gap was that wide here and that wide here, but here the gap was like this wide, and they'd filled it in with body putty before, about a 1/2 inch of body putty on it. So I thought, well, I'll just put a piece of metal in there and straighten that out, and that's what I've done, and there's the result right there. So that's about the week used up. That's not the final coat of body. That's the stuff you put over seam sealer over welds. Works pretty good. Metal reinforced waterproof Bondo, or waterproof body filler. Anyhow, now, so that's about all I did this week, but it took a bit of time, and cooking on the whatever you call that back there. The electrodes are cooking away. This is the electrode I had in it before I put it in that piece of graphite. And this, like when I started, it was, you can see how much. You can see how much, like, this is how big it was when I started, a square axle. And you can see that you can see it's thinner. There's like 3 millimeters of it gone on each side. So I don't know where it goes, but it goes. Anyway, that's, hopefully the gas tank is clean of rust, or fairly clean of rust now. And next week I promise I'll get it finished next week and have a look inside there. I got a borescope type of a camera that we can take a look in with and stuff like that. So anyhow, babbling on. So stick around, watch the rest of it, enjoy the stupidity here of me with a hood, and carry on. I'll see you next time. Bye. Yeah, welcome back to a new week here. Things are slightly different today. Snow. Anyway, here I get going to work. See what's going on today. I've had the snowblower out blowing all the snow away, but now I'm back into the shop. That thing there is still doing its thing, whatever that is. But I'm going to pull that anode out and clean it off and then stick it back in and go at it some more. Yeah, there's, well, just about 24 hours, maybe 18 or 19 hours of it. I'll clean that yuck off of there and let it go again. Seems to be, whatever. Yeah, there, that's cleaned off, so I'll stick it back in and do more electrolysis. Oops, there we go. There, it's back at work again. I upped the voltage just to 8.5 volts, and I put it, and that ups the amperage to over half an amp. So that'll speed up the curing process there a bit. Likely about 3 or 4 days of this, because it's a fairly slow process, I do believe, and I don't want to do it more than once, so I'll just give it more time than I think is necessary. Yeah, so I cleaned out all the gumbo from here. It was Bondo, about like a half inch of Bondo, not quite a half inch. Yeah, about a half inch here, but less over here. I'll show you, I'll bring down the hood and I'll show you what it looks like. Yeah, so there's what the gap is like over here. And then the Bondo was thick enough to make it about out to here. You can see where the paint line is there. So that it was a fairly thin gap. But what I'll likely do is, make a piece of metal and just put a piece of metal in here, cut this one bit out. That won't be too tough to cut that out. Just along this, along that edge of it from about here maybe, because that gap I can live with, right? And that gap I can kind of live with. So from about here to about here, cut that off, cut it out underneath there, and just put a new piece of metal in there. I can make one on the shrinker stretcher so that it makes that curve right, and it's likely got a bit of a crown to it also. Eh? So this, now if you want to get Bondo off without all that dust and everything, just take a heat gun to it, and I used a heat gun, just a wood chisel, and that all came up fairly nice and easily. There'll still be some dust involved in getting this cleaned up, because I think I'll have to take out the headlights. Yeah, remove the headlights and get this thing sorted out properly. But that's coming. Then I have an idea for underneath here. Let me just put it up. So I've been chewing on it for a while. Oh, hang on, I'll get it up and get the light and everything. Yeah, so I'm underneath that front wheel. Driver's side, this is the lower control arm. This adjustment here gives you the camber adjustment, which I'm still chewing on, right? When I install this on, you have to pull hard on this to get it over into that position. So like that, even at the front bearing there is pulling backwards on it. So this side here, it just sort of slides right up into position without any trouble at all. So I'm thinking I'll move these. There's these two bolts here that hold it on. I'm thinking I'll just move them over if I can, and I'll figure out where the best spot is for the camber to be, and then I'll move it over to about the center of that, and then see what I can come up with there. And that way, that on the top, remember I changed the bolt pattern on the top of that thing, which I really was a little bit reluctant to do, although I did do it. And I think I'll put that back to normal and see if I can make the changes here at this part. And I'll do some measurement here and see what the book says for measurement here. Okay. Yeah, now I've measured from this hole here to that hole there, which from the body book it says I'm 4 millimeters too wide here. Between here and here, it's 4 millimeters too wide. Why would that be? I don't know. And then, so what I've done now is I've taken the bracket off of here and just held onto this loosely right there. Now I'm going to straighten up the top end of it and then see if I can get the caster angle, where the caster angle sits right and where this will be sitting. Okay? Yeah, so now there's where, if the center were there, I'd have the proper caster angle on that. So that's moving the center of this over here by 10 millimeters. There's the center mark there, eh? So I moved it over to that line there. Now what I can do is just cut out that section there, cut 10 millimeters off this edge, put the 10 millimeters back on that edge, and weld it all back together. Will I try that? Well, what the hell, eh? That would get it lined up right, and maybe even then the camber angle might come right also, because it'd be in the right alignment here, caster wise. And well, I'll just give it a go, see what happens. Yeah, so here's kind of the plan. I'll cut that line. I'll cut that line. You can see where this is what do you call that? That's spot weld, and then this, you can see the spot weld here, here, and here, where this plate, there's a plate underneath there that's spot welded on. But this thing was bent, like you can see the bend here in it. So I'll straighten that out while I hook it out, and then maybe everything will fit better afterwards. And I'll move it over about, maybe I'll move it 8 millimeters over, and that'll give enough of a move, I think. Yeah, there, right or wrong, I cut it out. Here it is, here in my hand, and I'll be able to get it back in its spot there, I think, without any too much trouble. I've straightened out a couple of those dents that were in it. Dents just on the those are pretty serious bolts they got on there. Straightened out a couple of dents on the anvil, and then there's this little piece here that I have to sort of weld back on there, so I'll do that too. Anyway, carry on. Yeah, there, so I cut about 10 millimeters off of that, and I'll put it back up into place, and then add the 10 millimeters at the other end. So here's where it's gonna go, right? I just got these things on here to hold, so like that and there. I'll tack it in a couple of spots, and then carry on. Yeah, there it is. Quitting time today now. Now some of that welding looks pretty good, and some of it looks like not quite as good, right over there. Anyway, I'll clean it up, and then I'll put this piece in on the left-hand side here that's that 10 centimeters that I cut out, or 10 millimeters that I cut out, and then grind it off and just see how things work out. We'll just check it out. I think it's more than strong enough. I'll just let this cool down and shut it off. Had an awful lot of trouble with the welder. It turned out I needed to put a new nozzle on it, or a new tip on it, and that sorted it out. I've got the fan running to take some of this smoke out of here, but it seems to be okay. Anyway, I'll see you all again tomorrow, I hope, on the 924 Porsche. Yeah, so I think this is the borax stuff coming out of solution, but that's still cooking in there, and I'll clean that off again and put it back in and see what happens. That's what it looks like when it starts. That's what it looks like after a day, right? Whoops, there it is back in there, and it's cooking away at 8.53 volts and 0.665 amps. Oh, there, got a bit ahead of you. But anyhow, so I welded this in, cleaned it up some. Like the welds, I didn't grind them down too far, just enough so to make sure that the piece there would move. Then I splashed a bit of paint on it, and it's ready for prime time. Well, ready. See if it'll work. See if what I've done is gonna make it work, right? Yeah, there we are, back together again. Now it should be. Well, what? Now it's time to do wheel alignment again, right? So I'll let it down. I'll line up the wheels, see if things work better now or not, or if things work at all. Oh, okay. So there, I've got the laser on it again, and laser goes across, straight up and down, over the top of the strut, and across the wheel down right at that white dot there. And that's like 18.5 millimeters from the center, and that makes 2 degrees 20 minutes, because its math is 446 high there to there, and then arctangent. So now I'm going to switch sides, do the other side, see if I can get that to be correct also. So the book says caster 2 degrees 45 minutes plus or minus 30 minutes. So I've got the left hand side 2 degrees 20 minutes now, which is well within the recommended amount. And now if I bring this side to 2 degrees 20 minutes, then that'll make them equal, and then I'll realign the camber, and then I'll realign the front end. Oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, there, now I've got this side 2 degrees 12 minutes, and that's about as far over as I can push it anyhow, so that's within what it's supposed to be. 2 degrees 45 minutes plus or minus 30, so 2 degrees 15 is the limit of it, but you know, for 3 minutes I'm not going to dick around. Then, but it says that the two sides need to be within 30 minutes of each other, or 30 minutes, so they're within 8 minutes of each other, which is good. So that's right on. We're done with that. Now next is the camber, and then the caster. Then that's the caster done. Now next is the camber, and then the toe in. Here I am. Yeah, so on the camber, I'm just going to adjust the far side, or the driver's side, see if it'll adjust any. And if it does adjust, then I'll come over and do this side. But for starters, I'll just do that side and see if I can make any difference from what it is right now, because it's right to the limit of the adjustment there. Yeah, so the instructions on the computer says toe pressed with 33 pounds. So front axle toe pressed with 33 pounds. So just touching the ground, right? I guess. Anyway, then camber 20 minutes plus or minus 15 minutes. So I set them both at 0. So like it says a negative 20 minutes. Which way is that? I don't know. So I just set them both, they're both at 0. 0 there and 0 there, with just a slight amount of pressure on them. So they're equal at that pressure, so we'll just go with it and see what happens. Yeah, so I've got my thread set up again so that it's parallel to the car. Go center the axle there, set the thread at 0, and then you can start measuring this. So this one here is pointing outward by 1 millimeter, which is, you know, that's within tolerance there. This one here is pointing outward by like 6 millimeters, so I got to change. I've had turn it, and then every time I do it, I make sure that the bubble on the wheel is level so that the wheel is straight, right? Okay, I'll get underneath and change it. Yeah, so here, measured it here, right? And measured it here onto the thread. And they're the same at 46.5 millimeters. So that's straight. I'm gonna check the back wheels while I'm here, but that'll be in a minute or two. Now I'll go to the other side, see if we can get the other side straightened out. The other side's pretty damn close. I don't know if I can get any closer. It's got I think it was a millimeter in, right? Wait, I'll check the angle on that. Yeah, so it's a 1 millimeter pointing outward, and that's 9 minutes angular. So it's got to be less than 5 minutes, I presume. Or if it's toe in, it can be up to 15 minutes, which would be 2 millimeters. Toe out, it can be up to like 5 minutes, which is about a half a millimeter. So I got to just change it slightly to bring it in by a millimeter. Yeah, there now, that's done. That's straight, and the other side is straight. So wheels are aligned, caster angle is good, camber angle I think is good, and they're pointing straight ahead, so that must be good. Now you can tell, like if you look where this wheel comes out of the front fender, now that fender maybe not quite 100% straight, is different slightly than this fender, but this fender here has got more of a curve on it on there, yeah, so that fender here is bent in a bit and pushed out over there. Isn't that something? Well, there you go. Yeah, now this wheel here has got 4 millimeters toe in, which is, 4 millimeters too many. This wheel here has got 7 millimeters toe out, which is 7 millimeters too many. So I'll figure out how to, those are the back wheels, I'll figure out how to adjust that. I don't know how to adjust that, but I imagine I can figure it out. Yeah, so the Haynes guy says for aligning the rear wheels, take it to a wheel alignment shop. That's what they basically tell you. This is the online I have, or on the computer, I have Porsche 924 workshop manual. Comes in 3 bits, but it says how to adjust the toe here by just loosening these bolts, and you're supposed to use a special tool that looks like, can you see that? Looks like that, right? Anyway, but I think I can sort of build that special tool and maybe be able to align them. I'll just mark down what I have to do. This side here is towing in 4 millimeters. The other side is towing out 7 millimeters. So I can sort of do what I can about that. Yeah, so that's the idler pulley for the timing belt. And it seems to be like on the timing belt, I'll show you. I ordered a new one, but I get the same results, I think. Anyway, the timing belt rides over this way all the time. Now I don't know what's going to happen with this idler that's on there now because I haven't started the motor. But I figured I'd just reface the back side of that idler pulley with this thing here, with the mini lathe, and then you can see that it's running good and straight and true there. So I'm going to take off about 40 thousandths of an inch off the back side, and then if it still rides, if it still goes wonky on there when I hook up when I get back to hooking up the motor and making it run again, then I'll put this on, this one here that I'm doing on, and just see if that makes a difference. Okay, anyhow, carrying on. Yeah, there, so I've taken 40 thousandth off of that. And then I'll see what, see if that makes any difference later on, if I need to. Anyhow, that's like I just measured here. I started at 10, and you just go around to 10 again, and that's 40 thousandths of an inch. So, anyway, I'll go and check on little measuring tool how much 40 thousandths is. It's not very much really. So here you go. Yeah, so that's how much 40 thousandths is right there. Which is, that's pretty good. Like that'll make a difference on the tracking if it does work. We'll see. Yeah, anyhow, that's enough for today. Time to go have supper. So I'll see you maybe tomorrow, hey? Okay, bye for now. Yeah, so here I am back at it. I'm gonna unhook this and bring it out, clean it off again, see how things are doing. Whoops, there you are. It catches a lot of all that debris is, I think, the borax stuff coming out of solution. But underneath you see it's that black, that's all the rust coming up. So this is what it started as, like that clean metal, and then it gets that. Then it gets a bit pitted as it goes along, so I'll show you after I clean it off. Yeah, so I grind off all the black yuck and left over with, this is very pitted, see all the little black dots in there. And then the width here is 19.8 millimeters. And the width here is 20.8 millimeters, so it's lost about a millimeter of metal to the process. I don't know where it goes. Oh, there now. It's working away again. Now it's got 8.53 volts going through it and 0.764 amps. So when I started, before I pulled it out, it was down to about 4 amps. So cleaning it off makes it work better. Well, makes it, I don't know, maybe. Who knows? Find out when it's done. I'll leave it in there another couple of days, I think, and then we'll call it done. So it's been in there this is the third cleaning. So I'll put it in another 2 days anyhow and see how, then take it out, drain the tank, and see how things look. Yeah, now to get the wheel alignment done on the rear, it's these bolts, those 3 bolts there that pull forward or backwards. So I'll see what it looks like. It's pretty tight to being as far forward as it'll go, but maybe it'll go another couple of millimeters. Doesn't need much. So I'll see what I can come up with. First off, I've got to take the wheel off. I'll take the wheel off and I'll build a something to go across here so I can have a piece of flat, right? So then I'll be able to carry on from that. Yeah, now I checked the alignment when it was sitting on the ground, and I've got the laser thing here pointing. I don't know, yeah, you can see the little line there. So I've got the laser line pointing along the body line, and I forgot to check and see if it's the same front and back again, so I'll do that. Then, but this thing here was 8 millimeters when it was sitting on the ground, 8 millimeters pointing outward, and on the air it's 9 millimeters pointing outward. So if I move it 8 millimeters in, it'll be pretty close to right. Oh, okay, so here now with the wheel off, it's hard to, tell. So this is the center mark right there. That's the same width as the rim of the tire, so 380 millimeters. And then with the wheel off, then I've checked this, and again it's 9 millimeters pointing outward here. So I can pull this off, get that apart, and see if I can make some adjustment here, and then we'll see where we can go. Yeah, so I wanted to pull that way, so I've come up with special tool number 2025 Lauren Kelly. So that's, just pull on that when I get them loosened, and I've got it tight so it shouldn't come this way any. We'll see if the theory works. Yeah, there we go. That, I don't know, can you see in there? Move that shadow out of the way. you can see the new metal there where that's how much I was able to move that plate there. That pulls it this way and then pulls the wheel in a little bit. And that made, so it was out by 9 millimeters before. Now it's pointing out by like 3 millimeters. So I'm gonna have to live with that because that's as much as I can get. And 3 millimeters is, 20 minutes or 25 minutes. And what it's supposed to be is 5 minutes, 0 degrees plus or minus 5 minutes. So I'm 15 minutes out, which is fairly normal in this car. That one there I got fairly straight. This one here, pretty straight. So what it'll do is a little bit of tire wear and maybe some highway noise that you'll hear. So otherwise it won't, it doesn't really hurt anything except for burning off tires a little bit faster than it should. The other side I think I can likely get. This is the problem side. This side here was bent, and that's pretty close as far as I can tell. I'll check it when I get it back down on the ground again and just see how things are. Yeah, so as it turns out, onto the ground, the wheel is straight. Now, I thought it was off a little bit because apparently I kicked this thing when I was working, and it just had a little bit, it gave me a bigger reading than it needed. So I thought I wasn't down to the spot, but I was down to the spot, and it's as far as the adjustment will take it anyhow. So that's done. Good deal. So that wheel's straight, that wheel's straight. One more wheel to go and I might get a straight car here. That'd be cool. We'll see. Okay, I'll get set up for this side. Yeah, so now I've got my laser thing, right? Where is it? Can you see that? Oh, I'm looking the wrong way. There's the laser, right? And it's pointing straight up the car. I measured out from here to the laser, right? And out from the other hub to the laser, and that's the same distance. So it's parallel with the car. Then I measure to this point here on the back of the wheel, and this point here in the front of the wheel. And this wheel is towing in by 5 millimeters. So I've got to change the adjustment on it so it comes 5 millimeters out. So it's got to pull back this wheel. Anyway, we'll do that, and I'll get it up and check to see that the alignment is the same before I do anything too drastic, and then carry on. Yeah, so I did the, let me see, I did checked it to make sure that it's the same. Yes, it is the same. And then this one here, you can tell there's, like, that's right in the middle of its run there. So it should be easier to align it. Don't have to go right to the extent of it all, which is normal on this side of the car. This is the good side of the car, right? Okay. Yeah, there now, that wheel, which is the back passenger side, is straight. It's like I got about a 9, well, by my measurement, about a 9 minute in 9 minutes in? Yeah, maybe. In or out, I don't know. 9 minutes. And they say that the it's plus or minus 5 minutes, so 0 degrees plus or minus 5 minutes. So I'm out by 4 minutes. I don't know. That's gonna be okay, I think. I don't think I'm gonna try to fight with it anymore for that. We'll run it for a while and then check them again and see how things are. Anyhow, I'm pretty happy with that now. So all 4 wheels, as far as I can tell, are pointing the right way. And that's a good thing. So maybe it can be a racing car, eh? No, not likely. Anyway, now next on the list is, well, I'll clean up over there, clean up a bunch of tools. Then I'll attack this bit of bodywork right here, I think. There was a bit of bodywork here, and I found a hole back in here behind the wheel that I noticed that a long time ago. Likely, like it's down in there, you can see, like if I put my hand down here. Oh, can you see my finger yet? Nope, can't see it. And my foot, yeah, there. See my foot? Going back and forth in there. Anyhow, there's a hole there, but I bet you they put that in there when they were trying to straighten this thing out. Who knows? I don't know. They might have. They might not have. There's lots of straightening points on it, but who knows what people do, right? Anyway, I'm fairly happy that it's reasonably well as far as the road gear goes. It's straight now, so that's good. This thing here is still cooking away. It's got going up to 7.7 amps now. That's high compared to what it was before. So I guess we'll just let it keep on cooking. And then I'll put all this stuff away, and then I'll get after that bit of body work up there, bit of body work back here. And then hopefully it'll be time to drain the tank. I want to leave it overnight tonight, and that'll make 4 nights. Four nights. That might be enough. Who knows, eh? That might be enough to get rid of most of the big bits anyhow. Then I'll drain it out, rinse it, and drain it out again. So I gotta have a warm day for that, warmish day for that, to be able to do all that stuff. Anyhow, we'll see what the weatherman says it's gonna be. But I'll just get stuff put away, and then I'll move on to task number 5 here. Yeah, here's the big gap here, little gap, well, medium gap, everything's crooked. I have to adjust this downward some, and then that will make that gap better. But I got myself in a bit of a pickle because I've got the hood closed, but I can't get it opened. That's a bit disconcerting. I had that rope around it in case that happened and rope broke. So I don't know what's jamming it, but something's jamming somewhere, and I'll have to keep prying and dicking at it till I get it opened. There's not much I can do except for work at it. So a pickle it is, and a pickle I'll go through to get it opened up, and I'll just keep on working at it and see what happens. Yeah, so still pickling, but it's time to go for supper, so I'll try it again tomorrow. I'll just think about it overnight. Maybe I can think of something that'll work, right? Who knows? Who knows what'll happen in my little brain? Anyway, I'll let it down, and that'll be some success today. The rear wheels are straight pointed, and I did clean off this thing, getting ready to. But I was trying to adjust the hood so that it would. So that I could, know where to put everything, but apparently I'm a little bit lost now. Okay, well, tomorrow, another day. Yeah, here I am, back at the 924, right? And I'm gonna, today, this might be the last time I take this out and clean it. Maybe not, who knows. Anyhow, it's down to, like, it was at 0.7 of an amp last evening. It's down to 0.5 of an amp today. So I'll pull that out, clean it off, stick it back in for another day and see how it goes. Then get that hood open somehow. Smart of me. Yeah, there another day of electrolysis, and it's up to 0.76 amps again. So as it gets more junk on it, it doesn't conduct the electricity quite as well. Anyway, so I think this is the last day for it, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see if I can get this hood open. I think I have to dig underneath it, and I'll see if I can get underneath and undo the bolts, and oh dear, it's a chore. Yeah, there, it finally opened after 3 hours, and this little piece of plastic here broke. Might have to make a new one of those. I'll figure it out. Anyway, that's the next project. Yeah, so here's the cause of my problems here. This little plastic thing is rounded out, and so it was allowing the tip of this to shift over and get jammed underneath the other bit. It should just come straight out because that's the way it's designed to work. So maybe I'll see if I can make a better gizmo than that to keep it in line. So yeah, when you're drilling through aluminum, you get pretty shavings. There you go. Anyway, I'll pull that out of there. Yeah, there now. I've been working on the lathe, and so this was square to start with, or oblong, or sort of. Anyhow, I'm going back and forth until it gets down to this size here, which should just, whoops, this size here, which should just fit on there. Then I'll chamfer one edge and make it sort of look like the plastic one. Anyway, we'll see how it comes out. Yeah, so here's the start of it anyhow. It's got a chamfer on this side of it, like it's the original one had a chamfer on that side of it. I think I could use more chamfering. I'll do that. And then I have to cut down into this side here so that the spring sort of slides on and stays put in one spot. Oh, am I looking at the right spot? No. So the spring will slide on and stay put in one side, one spot. So I'll just get the inside diameter of this and figure that out. Okay, and then I'll cut it like what was the, see how the old one was? Right to the chamfer, but I'll just use about half of this, I think, for the spring, and then see how that works out. Okay. Yeah, here I am. Well, here I am. So now, I don't know, can you see that now? So this spring just fits right on there. And then it's got that chamfer here. And that hole is the size of this part here. I'll put it together and see if it works. Hang on a minute. Yeah, there, that looks like it might work, hey? Looks normal. And it sort of fits in the hole. I'll just double check that. Now, I'm going to leave the adjusting till tomorrow because I've had enough. It's supper time now. And 5:37 all day trying to get this hood open and building that little thing like that's, but that's okay. What the hell, eh? Yeah, there it's in. That's locked in place there now. And I'll just put a towel over it and pull on it and see what happens. Might see it trying to escape through the towel here in a minute. Am I looking in the right way? I think so. Oh, okay. Five hands for this job. Well, that was cool. Jumps right out of there. Anyway, that seems to release all right. So I think that's a working model there, because it fits right down into that hole and doesn't, it doesn't allow it to move around. So that might make it so that it doesn't catch on the edge there. But still have to be adjusted so that it comes down straight, which is up in here and other places. So yeah, get this thing working before I do any body work, because if this doesn't work, I'll have the damn thing closed again and never open it. So that'll be tomorrow's chore. Okay. Yeah, so how did I get that thing to release? Well, I went and I don't know, you can see from up here, I cut a hole from the bottom in front of the radiator looking up, so I'd be right at that spot there, and then I poked at it with a screwdriver, and eventually it came free. Like just by pushing it around, it came free. So I guess if it gets stuck in the future, I've got an out for it, because I'm gonna leave that hole right where it is, and you can't see it. It's way underneath there somewhere, right? Anyway, that's how I did it. Yeah. Here I am back again at the 924. So I've got this thing here. Try and get that adjusted today, which is the clippy thing for holding the hood down, right? Now that the car didn't come with one, so this one here I got on eBay, used, and the plastic bit at the end here seemed to be compromised, but I replaced it with a piece of aluminum that I milled up on the whatever you call that thing over there, the lathe. That seems to be the right fit and everything. So then I've got the hose in here let it thaw out and see if I can get some water to run tomorrow. So I'll put this in for one more day. It's down to 0.62. So on the first day that I put it in there, it was at 0.7 amps, and at the end of 24 hours it was at about 0.4 amps. So that was all sorts of guck on here. And so now after 4 days in there, after a day's soaking, it just comes back out to 0.6 amps. So I think it's getting pretty close to being done. It's not much, like the amperage is traveling and there's not much residue getting onto the anode. Okay, and I did order up some, I had a note from, or a comment from one viewer, said, have you tried a graphite? And so I ordered some graphite, little graphite shafts about this long, that I will use in the future. They say, like, that's, the literature says you get a much cleaner goop. Like this will clean off the tank, I think, but you're left over with all this residue, and it's a yucky mucky thing at the top of the tank there. So that'll take some rinsing to get it cleaned off, for which I've got a big tub here. I'll just let the water drain out of it, and then I'll get a hose and hose through it and see if I can get the get most of the yuck out of it that way. Then I'll throw some gas, let it dry out, and throw some gas in it right away so it doesn't rust. So there. Okay. Yeah, so there it is, the rod after I've cleaned it up. Is an old axle, right? So this part here, I measure down here, and it's 18.2 millimeters. Up here it's 19.4 millimeters or something. So it's lost 2.2 millimeters over the time across this way. So I imagine it's the same that way too. I could check that. Haven't done that, but I will. So that's interesting. This stuff here is losing size. It sacrifices itself to cleaning the tank. Cool. Yeah, so I'm doing some ciphering. And so here's the center of the hood from side to side. There to there. Center. This is the center between the fenders from side to side. Now, I'm going to have to sort of guess that they're pretty close to being in the right spot. There to there. Then that says there's a 1/4 inch between here and here that needs to be accounted for. This side here has got about a 1/2 inch gap. This side here has got about, an 1/8 of an inch gap. It's not no gap at all. So first things first, this light has to get moved down this way towards the front. See that it's hanging here, and that'll give more room for this to come ahead a bit. Then that'll maybe make the difference here, get it close to right. Yeah, I'm getting closer. So that's about, maybe 2 millimeters off there. This gap here is 6 millimeters, or 7 millimeters, and this gap here is 6 millimeters, give or take a bit. Now, this one here, I have to just lift up a bit on it here, but I think I got the right length to it. And then it's just touching on that when it comes over. See how that is? So if I lift a bit, that might clear that. Or change the adjustment on this so that it starts a bit higher, right? Okay. Anyway, we'll figure that out. Yeah, there I got it pretty close. So this is a little bit low here, but the fender is a bit high. It's pressing up against there. It should be down another bit. There's it's proud here, higher. Don't know that I can ever do anything about that. Seems to sit okay there. This 6 millimeters there, 6 millimeters there. So I'm happy with that. That's the gap it's going to be. Now I'll see if I can get this headlight thing adjusted so that I'll pull this side back a bit, I think, if I can. And then I'll see if I can adjust this headlight to fit. Then I'll fix this stuff here, or then I've got this pretty close to being the right spot. In fact, that line there and that line there is where the center of the thing that goes down is. So I think that's pretty damn close to right. That should work. I'll try it anyhow. Yeah, no, there. That's a bit wide, that gap there, but that seems to be how it is. This whole thing should move over, eh? Yeah, maybe. But anyway, I think I can live with that gap. I can live with that gap. I can live with this and this. I'll put a bit of metal in here to fix so that it's same all the way across. And I can live with that. See how this curves in, the hood here curves in. Paul says it's not from this car, but I think it is. It's hard to say. It seems that everything's there. Who knows? Anyway, the this headlight window here, this headlight just is wonky because this fender's wonky all the way everywhere. Somebody else's body work, right? And that might be some Bondo underneath right there. I'll check into that. Might have been crumpled and fixed, hey? I'll check into that. Anyway. Yeah, so now I'm ready to give it a test and see if it'll actually go back right around there, yep. See if it'll actually release after I put it down, or if I've got it too far screwed in or whatever. Oops. Seems to be down, right? About there. That's about the right level too. Just lucky. Oh, that worked. So it can go down another, I'll turn it in another couple of screws. So this thing here, I can just turn it in a couple more screws on there. By that much. I think that's right. I think that's, now we'll see if it'll open. Yay! It closes and it opens. So there. Let's see how the gaps are now. So this gap here, this is what I was going to fix, right? Because that's a big wide gap. I'm just going to, this gap I can live with right there. And same on that side, I can live with that gap. Because that makes the headlights look sort of right. This gap here, I can certainly live with. That looks all right. A little bit wider here than it is there, but not much. This gap here is a little bit wider than the other side, but I can live with that. The whole thing is pushed that way, I think. Who knows? Or maybe this way, the whole thing's pushed. Wheels are straight. That, oops, you can just sort of see the edge of the tire, right? Wheels are straight. Yeah, this one here is moved farther over that way, so that the whole thing is pushed that way a bit. And then, like this, it's not completely straight across the top there. Well, but once you put the hood on, it looks okay. So I guess man on horseback will forgive me for it. Anyway, now that that's done, I'll make a piece of metal to fit here and fit it so that it's got the gap 0 here. So I'll make it from about here. Whoops, where am I pointing? Make it from about here. Yeah, about there to about there, and fit it in, and so it'll be gap 0 here. Like it'll be just up against the edge, but out here it'll be finger width in. whatever that is, to make it right. Okay, now that's easy compared to getting this hood to be right, and the hood is right, so I'm happy. Yay! That was 2 days of work to make that hood right. Most of it was trying to get it undone. Just my own stupidity, right? Yeah, before I go any farther, I'll make sure the headlights go up and down, right? We'll just check into that. Hang on. Oh, I love it when the hood opens. See, this is pretty close right there, but I think I can solve that just by moving this wiper blade up a bit. Here now, you watch and see if they go up and down right. Here we go. That's up. Oh, it must be grabbing on something in there. That towel maybe. I better check that towel. I like to get the towel tangled up in it. Oh dear. Try again. I got the towel out of there. Yeah, that seems to run sort of normal. Normal enough for a 40-year-old car. So I'll be happy with it. Now and there that bounces around a bit, don't know why, but I'm not gonna. The bolts that hold it on here, on this side from underneath the fender here, 2 of them are stripped, so I gotta fix that. Someday I'll just pull that whole thing out of there and see if I can get it to be a happier system. But actually it looks like it's in the right spot. This side here is pretty close to right. This side here is pretty close to wrong. You see, it should be pushed that way a little bit. Tight gap there, real tight gap here. So if that pushed that way a bit, but I can't seem to get that to move over, but maybe I can, if I pulled it out, I can likely make some adjustment to it. Okay, later. Yeah, so I'll make my piece go from here to here. Whoop. And so that's 27 this way. And then if I bring it out to about, somebody was drilling a hole there to pull a dent, so I'll bring it out right to here. So I'll make it 3 inches wide. That'll be 1 inch this way, 3/4 that way, about 1/2 that way. And then I'll see about doing this. Yeah, so I started making this piece. There's, you can see that bit of a curve in there. So I shrunk on that side and I stretched on this side. But then it's got crown to it too, so to be able to get it to fit nicely, I need to, like I've got just about the right curve on it there now, you know, maybe even too much curve on it, but I have to get the crown on it. So that would mean that I cut this bottom lip off and get the crown on that way, because I don't have a shrinker that'll fit up in there, nor do I know any way to make that shrink so the crown will come on it. Okay, but that's all right. And then I can weld this bottom piece onto it and go from there. We'll get the crown and the curve right, then we'll put the bottom piece on. Yeah, there, I've got the right crown on it now. I'll show you if I can get it out of here now. It fits so tight. So, I don't know, can you see that? Yeah, you can see the crown there. See how that crown goes? Hold it steady, Norm. So I did that by shrinking on here, right? With this shrinker here. So I had to move it out from the wall because it was not long enough to be able to get it in there. That's all right though. Then after that, then I've got the curve going. See how that curve is there? Can you see that? There's a curve going there. Now I got that by stretching on this side of it, right? But I think I've got, it's not quite right yet, so I want to just put this down where it should be, right? And then This is gonna, when I get it cut in there, it's gonna cut in by 1/8 of an inch there, right? Or a couple of a millimeter anyhow. So it's actually pretty close. I think it needs a bit of curve right here and a little bit out of it right here, right? I'll just try that out and see what happens. Yeah, there, I've got it pretty close to right. So if you put this little wrench in here, it fits the same all the way along. And that's, I think, close enough. And that's, I don't mind that gap. Like there's what it's going to be, but that, it's got to go in a bit there yet. So right there like that. Same here. So this will go in that width of the metal, and that'll be good. So there, I did that all. Like I got the crown going on it. And now you can, I'll show you the crown here. Wait a minute. Here we are. We got a straight, here's a straight edge, right? So you can see see how much crown there is in it there. So I've got that into this piece of metal. You might have to take a little bit out, do a bit of shrink right there. Pull that down a tiny bit because it's stretched out from when I was doing all this stuff over here. But I'll take the anvil and I'll just sort of flatten that out with a hammer and then check it again. Then I'll do the old cutting butt in here. But I'll cut out that bottom bit first. I'll just cut out a chunk along here that's not nearly as wide as that. Then that will fit into it. And then I'll do a cutting butt along here. How's that? That sound like was I pointing anywhere near the right way? So if I cut this stuff out of the bottom, and then I'll just cut a bit off of here, and then put that on, and then do the cut and butt business, and that would make it fit. Yeah, there, it's about quitting time anyhow. So I'll leave it at that for this evening, and I'll get back at it again tomorrow and fix this stuff up. So that makes that gap, that'll make that gap way better if I do that. I'll show you the difference. Like big 1/2 inch to about this much all the way, and this much all the way. So I can live with that gap. Gotta be able to get your hand in there to undo the hood, right? So anyhow, it's coming along. This thing here, I was banging away on that to make it right, and I just made a mess. I'll have to clean that up. Anyway, I'll carry on. Yeah, here I am, ready for another day at the 9:24, right? Okay, it's Thursday today, I think, maybe. Yeah, maybe Thursday. There, this thing here is still cooking away, and it's down to 0.59 of an amp. So I'll take that out, I'll clean it off once more. I brought this hose in yesterday and let it thaw out. Then I've got this long hose here that I'll run up to the house because I don't want to turn on the underground water again. It'll likely freeze this time, or it's likely frozen already. So don't want to create a problem there. Anyhow, this will thaw out by tomorrow, and I'll see if I can run water down to here to hose this out. Now, while I'm waiting for all that to cook up, I'll go to work on this. Whoops, what am I pointing at, I wonder? Go to work on this thing here, which I've got, last night I had it sorted out pretty good to be, the correct crown on that, and the correct curve on that as far as I can tell. I think that'll work pretty good. I'll just double check all my stuff and then maybe go to work on it. Yeah, before I start doing any cutting and drastic stuff here, I'm going to put this little piece on. I put it up, I made it to fit in there and then set the curve to be the same as the curve on this. A little bit more shrinking to do, and right here it's a little bit too much curve. I'll fix that. Then I'll put that welded on. Then I'll trim this to fit and cover over this stuff here. And that should be all right. There, I've got that pretty close to where I want it there now. A little bit of a gap there, but I'll fix that up. Then what I'll do is I'll cut this bit out here and then just see how that falls into place there and see how it looks when it falls into place. Yeah, there, I think it's pretty close to right. Now this thing, like, now that I've loosened off that, it flops around pretty good. But this will put the strength back into it again when I put that back on. I hope. Whoops. Get out here so you can see this stuff. See how that moves. So this thing here, when it goes on, that corner, and that corner, then I'll cut it along here. And but first, I'll weld up all this stuff here, and I put some holes in here for plug welds. Just use my little puncher thing for that. That works pretty good. Don't know how I got those two right next to each other. Double tap, hey? Okay, carry on. Yeah, I welded this all on the back here. And then, so it goes pretty good presentation and it looks decent on the front. I'll hit that with a bit of seam filler before I finish it, but I'm not going to weld any more than those tacks on the front because otherwise it'll just get all weldy and bumpy. And I'm not very good at that. So, then this piece will drop into here. I'll weld it, I'll give it a tack right here at the corner so I get the height right. And I'll give it a tack right here at the corner so as to get the height right. Then I'll sort of press down on this and tack it a couple of spots to get it to hang on. And then I'll button cut it, or try. Yeah, there's where it kind of goes. Now I have to just cut this all the way along here. I won't touch that weld. And all the way along here, and I won't touch that weld. And then I'll cut those welds out, and this weld out, and take this off so I can get the piece off from behind. I can't reach it from down below. So that'll be what happens. Yeah, so there's the bit from underneath. And this is the other bit from underneath. And this thing here seems to fit on there not bad. Now if I can get it to go on without warping it all over the place, I'll be a happy guy. But that's just a matter of going slow on the welding. Real slow on the welding. So it looks alright. And then I'll get this like pressed into here later and see what I come up with there. Now the next thing is to those are air vents coming through there. I'll paint this on the back side, right? Let it dry for a few minutes and then I'll start welding. Yeah, so this stuff here is 22 gauge metal and I'm hooking onto it. This is 18 gauge. So I've turned this, like at the what they call a smart meter, I've turned it to 20 gauge and made it a little bit hot to get the welds to flatten out. See how that goes. I don't want to burn through that. Don't want to burn through if I, you know. Hope not. Anyhow, we'll see what happens. There we go. You want to watch? Let's just see what I can set on fire here. Yeah, one little burn through right there. Anyway, it's not bad. You saw me doing, like I had to cut a little bit more here to make it so it would fit better. But if you go and rub your finger along it, it's all smooth and flat. Now, I better do a test fit, see how it looks before I commit to it, right? Anyway, I'll let the hood down and have a look. There you go, not bad. It's an awful lot better than it was before, I think. Like before, the gap was way out to here, right? So I think I can live with that gap on the front of it. And the a little bit wider here than it is here, but I can sort of just push the whole thing back a bit here and push the whole thing that way a bit there, and that'll make it even up. But I think I'm reasonably pleased with it. So I'll see if I can get that welded on without getting too big a warp in it, and then we'll be that'll be nice. Now here's the master of cut and butt Fitzy. He says to just go along every centimeter or two, every couple of inches, put a weld in, and then wait till it's nice and cool. Like you can touch it with your hand and cool it naturally. And that way, like see, I got quite a bit of heated right there. And that way it won't, you got a chance of it not warping too badly. It will always warp because it's going to shrink into the middle. That's just the nature of the beast. So a little bit, like I'll put seam filler on there, and that'll fill that up. And then there's a hole here. They drilled a hole here to pull a dent, so I got a dolly underneath it while I was headed apart. And then I did ugly plug welds along here, but that's solid on there. This part here, that's just the way it's going to be right there. I'll fill those holes. And that'll be that. Yeah, so I filled those holes with the plugs that I punched out of there. Anyhow, this I've got 2 runs at this now. The next one I'll show you what I'm doing. It only takes like there's a dab here, a dab here, a dab here, a dab here, all the way along. Then I have to wait till I can, you know, comfortably touch it with my hand before I go anymore. Yeah, here we go. It's some pretty exciting footage here. Yeah, about maybe an hour later now. Excuse me. And pretty near done. Still have some more there, some more there, some more there. But I've been waiting. Hot. This end's hot still. So give it another 3 or 4 minutes and then I'll make another round. Yeah, so Buster's out here with me, being a shop dog. Anyhow, I gotta get a glove off here. That's all, a couple of spots are still hot, but that's all done. Let it cool off and then I'll grind. So it came out pretty nice. I don't think, like it didn't warp terribly. We still have the opportunity to warp it by overheating it when I'm grinding, which I've done before. Well, we'll see how it works out. And it'll take a little bit of like that metal to metal stuff to fill in over the welds that I do every time. And I think I got most of the pinholes, but I'll check that later, like after I grind it down, then I'll check for pinholes. So anyway, that's pretty near it for today. We'll just get this done tomorrow, and maybe that'll be good for a video. Still, like this thing makes noise, eh? Lots of noise in here. Anyhow, this thing here is still cooking, and I just let it cook until such time as I can get, like, that should be thawed out tomorrow, that hose and this hose, and I think I can reach the house with that, and that will give us an opportunity to, whatever you call that, oh dear me, to rinse out this tank. And I've got a great big bucket there. I'll just put it on my little creepy thing, the creeper, and take it out to the door. They say that this, after you're done, this stuff here can just sort of go into the, it doesn't, there's no, it's inert. It doesn't bother anything. So it'll be part of my gravel. Anyway, that's all for today. I'll see you tomorrow, I hope. Yeah, this electrolysis here. Now I've done, what I'm thinking is going on is that the reason that the rust comes off is that it's been oxidized, and that will attract it over to the anode, to the positive side from the negative. So it shouldn't affect anything that's good steel. So you can leave it in there for as long as you want, really. Now I've got a piece of graphite, and then I coiled it around and put a little hooky thing underneath there so it won't fall out, right? Don't want to lose it. Now I'll stick this in and just see give it, a couple of days of this stuff and see what happens. Get it down about there somewhere. I'll see if there's any difference in the amount of amperage that it comes through. Yeah, paint sticks have just a multiple of uses. So I'll just see if this will drop in here. And that puts the whole thing, or most of it, underneath the water. And I'll just get it so it's there, and then hook up a wire to it and see what happens. There it goes. So this one here, like the steel was coming out at whatever you call that, 0.7 amps. This one here starts at 0.2 amps, which is interesting. Maybe it's a matter of the solution is getting to be drawn out. So I'll just leave it, I'm going to leave it in there for a day and just see what happens. Then tomorrow, I think the guys from Amazon is sort of delivering, number one, I've got ordered a bore scope thing so I could look in there and see what's going on. And then tomorrow I'll see if I can get it drained and rinsed out and see what happens. Try that out. Okay, anyhow, that can go on for now. This thing here we are back at the grind here, right? So I'll get this grounded down. I'll maybe put a coat of finishing stuff on there, whatever you call that stuff, Evercoat, metal to metal stuff, in the gray can over there. Put a coat of that on, and then I have to go and get this tank is pretty well empty, so I'll go get a new tank. It's got a bit left in it, like enough for a couple of welds, but not enough for a while. Yeah, there we go. That's looking not too bad, right? I'll have to do this. I don't want to grind it down anymore because I'm going to get into this thin metal, and I don't want to make that any thinner. So now I'll just drop the hood and see how it looks, see if it looks anywhere near right, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, now how do you like that, eh? That looks not bad. I think I can be happy with that. Build a bit of a body filler on here to smooth it out a bit. Now there's a little bit of a high spot right about here, but for the most part it's all right. I don't know, like that's a bit high right there, but that little bit of body filler will fill that up. Now I'll just put a little coat over it just to smooth it off, and then I'll block it off with a block sander of some sort. And then I've still got to do a bit of grinding right here. That needs to be cleaned up a bit. Yeah, there's a coat of the Evercoat on there. I'll show you the can. Metal reinforced body filler for metal surfaces. So that stuff is good for putting onto over your welds. It fills in on the pinholes, and it's waterproof, right? Yeah, I made it back from getting that. And then I also got the registration for the Triumph done. 1969 Triumph TC100C, T100C. in my name now. So I'll do a little bit of sanding on here. Buster's out to help. I just put that little coat of stuff on and sand it down, and then that'll be that for this for now. Yeah, there we go. That's not, I don't know, can you see? Actually, it feels pretty good. A little bit of a low spot right there. And, you know, and high spot here, a little bit of a low spot, a little bit of a low spot. But that will be just normal Bondo gets that stuff. And it's only just a very thin coat. And it's covered up that weld completely, so it looks like no weld, right? Good deal. That's, I think that came out quite nice. Let me put down the hood and have a look with the hood down. Yeah, there it is with the hood up, down, whatever, down, yeah. And that needs to be adjusted down just a little bit. Over on this side, this side here hangs high, right? And it seems to be a twist in the whole thing. Maybe I can give it a twist. Because this side here comes down nice, right? So that side there needs to be pushed down that way farther. But for the most part, I'm kind of happy with it. In fact, for a 40-year-old car, like I'm not gonna, I don't know if I'll ever get that right. Sorry, I don't know if I'll ever get this to be right because it's high there, eh? Anybody got any advice how to straighten that out so it works right? I think it has to be pulled this way. Pulled? I'm not sure. Like pulling on that and pounding on that might bring it down. But then it's all, like I make a terrible mess pounding on that. So, or just leave well enough alone. That's another option. It's high even here. Don't know if I can get that pushed down anymore. I hate to try and do anything more to it because it opens and closes. Hey, anyway, I think that's where it's going to stay for this week. The did all right really. The electrolysis is still cooking back here. Down to like 0.13 volts. I don't know what this stuff does. Oh, it attracts the junk, same as the other stuff. So it's just a matter of different size anode. Yeah, anode that doesn't collect as much, not as large an area. So if I put 2 or 3 of those things down there to make the amps would come up. But I think I'm okay just to let that cook away the way it is right there, and then tomorrow maybe I'll be able to get it out of there. But that's this week here is going to be the end. This is the end of the week. It's Friday. Time for time to put a video out. So I'll leave it at that. First bit of body work on this car has actually turned out pretty nicely. Now the only other welding I have to do on it is back underneath the back wheel over there. A little hole underneath the back wheel. Don't know why it's there, but it's going to get welded. And then this stuff here, I'll just like that light needs to be adjusted back, and I think I have to just pull the whole carriage out of there to figure that out. But for the most part, yeah, thanks for being here, and sure do appreciate your likes and comments and everything like that. So see you next week. Bye for now. Yeah, January 5th, and a skiff of fresh snow came down last night. And Buster and I are out. Now there's been one other person down the path, and Buster's very interested in that because they also had a dog with them. Cool today. But next week it's supposed to be another couple of warm days and rain. We'll just see what happens with that. Anyway, I'll catch up with you at the beach. Yeah, here it is. A little bit of open water over there still. On the pond. And a few waves coming in. Must have been a little bit windy out here because the water's a little bit on the rowely side. But nothing too big coming in now. Looks like it snowed since the tide has gone out, it snowed. Yeah, so there you are, Buster and I. Another day at Holland Cove. See you later.